I tried this custom keyboard, and you should too. Why? And you should too? Well, howdy hey, I'm Hipyo Tech, and I tried over 40 keyboards last year. And let's just say in my quest to find the best budget keyboards, this one might be it. Now, budget is a flexible term, we'll talk about that later. This is the Kiiboom Moonshadow, and let's just say it blew my expectations away. Like, seriously, I expected to kind of hate this thing. Did you hear that? Like, this isn't a $500 keyboard we're talking about here. But let's just say this keyboard has a little bit of a trick up its sleeve. Now, in this video, not only will I show you how to build a custom keyboard, I'll also show you how to mod one. And you're probably thinking, that's incredibly daunting. But it's only gonna cost $3. But that's not all. With this keyboard, it's also only gonna take roughly 5 seconds. Why is that, you might ask? Well, let me just show you these magic slides that we're gonna talk about later. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think this keyboard might have taken my beginner recommendation, and stick around to the end to find out why. Now, if you're wondering what you're getting into with this video, I'm gonna take the Kiiboom 81, I'm gonna squish it a little bit, I'm gonna check out some unique switches, and then I'm gonna get a little bit of help from my cat, of course. And I'm doing all of this to make a keyboard that sounds like heaven. So let's get into it. The story begins with, ow, oh my foot. Owie, my foot, this keyboard fell on my foot and my foot really hurts. They don't even know my foot hurts right now. Anyways, the story starts with a bit of a problem. You know how you can't buy the Zoom 75? Like the keyboard that I've recommended more than anything, you can't buy it. And even if you could, you'd have to wait 3 months for it, which kind of sucks. Well, Kiiboom reached out to me and wanted to sponsor this video because they said they have something that can be better and in stock. Now, wait, before you write off my opinion, anytime I get a sponsorship from a keyboard brand, they can't review my video, they don't get to tell me what to say. All they do is pay for a slot so I can support the channel. In the box, you get a cable, a switch puller, some spare switches, and a microfiber cloth. Okay, hold on, this is unrelated. I need to take this outside to test something. Yes, this is a revolutionary video. Hipyo Tech is going outside. He's now Hipyo outside. I'm never going outside again. Anyways, this is the Kiiboom Moonshadow 81, and that's a bit of a mouthful. You're probably wondering about the price, and this is an aluminum keyboard that starts at $199. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Hipyo, that's still a little bit expensive. Well, I can explain. It definitely is a little bit expensive, but what I will say is that this keyboard does sound better stock than a lot of other keyboards. It's also got some unique features that might make it worth it to you, like whatever these are. It's also got a really nice backweight, and generally it just looks like a very beautiful keyboard. Now, it definitely has a bit of that generic 75% keyboard look that you see with like the GMMK Pro and every other keyboard that looks a little bit the same ever since the Satisfaction 75. Okay, now that all of that is done, I can test the microfiber cloth, and it works. Yeah, that's why I went outside. Wasn't because I needed to do yard work or anything. Also, I scratched Nola with the USB-C cable as a bit of a joke, and she decided she loved that and said, give me more of that. I love that. So please go comment, nice USB-C cable, Nola. Good job on eating the cable. So anyways, for reasons unrelated, I'm going to be using my own cable for this, which is a really good segue to showing you that this board does have RGB and south-facing LEDs for those of you that care. Now, I'll get into some of the other spicier features soon, but what you might notice is that this does ship with a polycarbonate plate and stabilizers pre-installed. But I couldn't help but notice one big glaring issue. Where are the screws? How am I going to take this thing apart? Like, I looked on the back, I peeled off the rubber feet. How am I gonna get this thing open? I can't mod a keyboard if I can't get it open. There's no screws. Where are the screws? Where are the screws? Similar to what my therapist always says, you can't open up with screws. You need to open up with weird, slidey clasp bits. That's a bit weird. But remember in the intro where I said this keyboard is actually going to be incredible for beginners? And this is one of the main reasons why. Now you're probably thinking, oh, Hipyo, why does making the keyboard take apart faster better for beginners? Well, because when you're first getting into the hobby, you don't actually know what type of keyboard sound or feel you like. And this makes the barrier to modding it like 2 seconds. This is actually super amazing because you can test out, do you like it with foam, without foam? Do you like it with salsa in your keyboard? You could really try anything and it would only take a matter of minutes. I will not be trying it with salsa in my keyboard. However, I will try it without foam later in this video. Also included is this little silicone bit that kind of connects to the gaskets. Now, I've only ever seen this type of thing once before, and it usually gives the keyboard a very nice bouncy feel. So I'm excited to check out the gaskets on this keyboard. Did I mention it was gasket mounted? Now, every board nowadays is gasket mounted, but hey, at least you don't need to put these on yourself. And speaking of that, the stabilizers that are pre-installed and quote-unquote pre-lubed are pretty rattly. Now, Kiiboom wanted me to try their switches, so you know what? I'll try your switches. You're probably not gonna like this though. They sent me 2 different types of switches, and both seem to be linear switches. The greens were actually pretty decent. The factory lube wasn't terrible. The blues, however, had like a very weird click to them. Like, I'm not quite sure what was going on, so I had to try another one. And yeah, same deal. So like, these switches are fine, but that's a Marandi switch, stock. So yeah, these are the Kiiboom switches. They're okay. I'm not gonna be using them though. Speaking of, but you know what I will be using? Marandi switches. And if you have a problem with that, you can take Marandi's nuts and hit the subscribe button with them. Thank you very much. These are a linear switch from Wuche Studios, and they are my favorite factory loop switch. They're Nola's too. She was helping me put them in. She kept patting at a socket, waiting for me to put one in, and then patting at another socket. Little cute cat when she's not biting me at full force and making me bleed. Speaking of not making me bleed, this board's assembly is super duper easy because it has hot swap sockets. I don't think I mentioned that before actually, but that means you can build this board without needing to solder or desolder or resolder or whatever. You can just build it. Thanks, Nolan. Speaking of things that the sponsor of the video sent me that I don't actually like that much, these keycaps. And that's fine. Most of my dislikes are entirely my opinion. These are the Kiiboom clear keycaps that you'll find on like their Phantom series of keyboards. And they look really cool on their own, but not very cool on a keyboard. I also am not the biggest fan of what they sound like. Here's an example. I think in general, they just end up sounding a little bit too clacky, and they also just feel kind of weird to me. They're too glossy. They're not my thing. Also, the spacebar sounded terrible. So I decided to go with GMK Pulse. Now, why did I go with GMK Pulse? Because it was sitting in my closet, perfectly sealed for the last like 7 months. By the way, authorities, if you're watching, there is nothing else sealed in my closet for the last 7 months. Now, you're looking at the video. It's about halfway done, and the keyboard is already built. So you're probably wondering, what's gonna happen? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna like sing us a song or something? No, but if you do want me to sing you a song, I do actually make music as Kadeli. I'll link it down below. Now, I'd say my overall experience building this keyboard was incredibly positive. There was nothing that made me go insane, and oh, well, there's a negative. So they say it works with VIA, which is my favorite software for syncing your keyboard up. However, mine just didn't work with VIA no matter what I did. Now, I didn't have time to contact Kiiboom, so probably yours will work, but I couldn't test out any macros or anything like that. Now, it's also worth noting that the badge in the top right is removable and you can just use another switch there, but I kind of like the badge, it's kind of cute. And it's also worth noting that it's time for me to mod this keyboard. So before I do that, I'm going to give you a sound test of what the keyboard sounds like before modding. That way you get a really good baseline. This is with the case foam in, so nothing too crazy. Where's the audio? There's no audio. Wait. Ah! There's no audio, Nola. Ah! Oh, I guess we're taking this thing apart again. Good thing it's easy. Yeah, so that was me at 5 a.m. this morning when I jolted awake, realizing I probably had my noise filter on while I was recording my sound tests. So I did this whole entire video and modded this keyboard, did before and afters, none of the audio recorded. So that's what the keyboard sounds like, completely stock, no mods, stock switches, stock keycaps, what have you, after I fully disassembled it again. You know, since I'm here, here's what the keyboard sounds like without any foam. It still sounds pretty good, but that's not all. The gasket flex when you take out the case foam is literally insane. This thing felt like typing on a trampoline, but that's also not all. Personally, I don't think it sounds thocky enough, so I'm gonna try and fix that. And like I said before, I think this will only take a few seconds. Oh yeah, it's also only gonna cost a few dollars, but just wait for the before and after, it's kinda nutty. So just like that, the keyboard's taken apart, no 14 screws required, which is really nice. Now on the top of the case, I see these little nubs, so just like in RuneScape, I'm gonna have to cover these up with some electrical tape. That makes no sense, but it rhymed though. This is gonna be like a mini force break mod, and it's the only place where there's metal on metal contact, so this will cut some of the case reverb. Although there really wasn't any to begin with, it's just a bit overkill. Next, I'm doing a mod that I recommend you do with electric tape, but I'm doing it with painter's tape because I only have big painter's tape, not big electric tape. A few layers of tape on the back of your PCB will act as a low pass filter and make it a little bit poppier and a little bit deeper. Then I'll put the case foam back in, and bada bing, bada boom. So just like that, the keyboard is going to sound a significant amount better, in my opinion. Although it already sounded really good, which is what I think sets this above something like a Monsgeek M1. Personally, I think that board does sound fine, but not perfect without mods. But whether or not that's worth an extra $100 is entirely up to you. I would say you're perfectly fine saving $100 and going with an alternative board. But if you want something just a tinge more premium, then I feel like this is a really good bet, and the mods are very fun, and this is also really good if you're a beginner. I'll leave you with a before and after. Please comment, thank you for going outside, Hipyo, if you watched this whole video, because I went outside.